When you're ready to submit leads into your system, there are a few components that you'll need to have in place. And then there's the process of then getting the leads to submit directly to your system from wherever they're being generated. That may be a web page with a form on it, or it could be through a vendor or somebody who's selling you those leads. But either way, to get the leads automatically submitted into your system, it's going to require using APIs. And so we'll talk about the general setup here that you'd need. First of all, if you go to your settings main tab on the left-hand side, then you'll find the source vendor settings. Now, this is not a new system, and if you have a brand new system, you will not see any of these, which are the sources. Each one of these line items is a source. You'll need to use the source wizard to create sources. I cannot impress upon you enough the importance of using the source wizard, primarily because at the end of the process of creating the source in the source wizard, the system will provide you with a PDF document with all of your API specs. And that's important because that document, that PDF with the API specs, is a document that you would give to a vendor. If they're selling you leads, they would need that information in order to be able to automatically submit leads into your system. And likewise, if you had a form that you were managing and you had a web developer that was building that for you, the API specs again would allow them to automatically submit those leads from the form directly into your boberdoo system. The sources that we're looking at here need to be created. Think of these as pipelines for your leads to come in, and each one of these sources would be dedicated probably to an individual form or a vendor. We're going to go into the edit mode of one of these sources, and you'll see that the second line item here is where you can create a relationship with a vendor. This is in a situation, say, where you were purchasing leads from this vendor. Here you can see it's Jake Lead Gen, but you'll notice that you can also select none, and that is because sources don't necessarily have to be connected to a vendor, and that would be a case where you have just a web page with a form where you would probably not want to have a vendor connected with it. But either way, the API specs are going to be needed. And so that is the basics of the source that you need. There's, of course, a lot of settings here. We're not going to cover that here because that's kind of breaking into a lot of different topics. But suffice to say, you need to have the source and then, of course, the vendors. And that drop-down menu that I was showing you is pulling from this set here. The manage vendors, you can create a vendor account. And in fact, the source wizard that I was talking about allows you to create a vendor in parallel in the actual tool. So that's very, very handy part of it. With regard to the API specs, trying to make this quick here, you can always retrieve them from an existing source. This button here, the circle with the arrow in it, allows you to download the PDF specs. It requires a password. And so then it allows you to be able to perform that. And so here you can see what the PDF looks like. It includes the API key, which provides the security aspect of it. And then the spec URL is where a developer or your vendor would then click on that to get all the information about your lead type. Any questions? Feel free to send us a ticket and we'd be more than happy to help.